Hello again, this is Sancho West with some more Uncharted 4 multiplayer coverage, breaking down some more footage that I found from some IGN off camera, over the shoulder, things like that. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of great things to talk about. There's loadouts, there's weapons, and at the end of the video, there's some news wrap-up that we're going to talk about, some articles that we found, some microtransaction news. So enjoy the video. Thank you again so much for the support that you showed me in the previous Uncharted 4 breakdown. I'll see you guys on the other side. Enjoy. And here we go. This is footage from IGN. If you'd like to see this footage commentary free, feel free to click the video link down below. And here we are again. Take a look at the grenade area icon. This is a mine icon and it has a cooldown effect as well. As you can see, is the sniper looks like does not have that much sway, and one shot to KO. I wonder if they're going to have a lot of Last of Us components in terms of power of the weapons, if it's going to be 2 shots to down with the hunting rifle. That glow you see in the distance is a treasure, and each treasure gives you 100 points. Now they're going to go ahead and move into the action. As you can see, there's a shorty type pistol in the area, and it carries 2 bullets. As you see right there, the sidekick icon that just went away is available in the store. And as you see, the health has that HUD from The Last of Us, but there is no health packs to heal yourself. You just automatically auto health regen, so to speak. Again, everything is speculation. As you see, the icon for the healing has the plus going down to show that you're dying, and of course the revive mechanic is shared the same way. As you can see, as soon as you get revived though, you get that haze and then you slowly get back to a normal full color. I'm just surprised that there is not that much sway from the sniper. More to see on that, who knows, we'll see in the beta. As you can see, that guy got shot by 2 sniper shots and then he went down. Now, of course, all the words down here you'll see is all in French. Moving on to the action, and this is the most interesting thing that I've seen from the IGN video is right here. The in-game store is now a wheel that's attached to the D-pad. The upper one is going to be your mysticals, the bottom one is going to be your throwables, and the one on the left is going to be your sidekicks, and the one on the right is going to be your heavy weapons or your purchasable weapons. I'm not 100% sure more on what the one on the right is, but this is the way that Naughty Dog's going to balance the game as much as possible, controlling the part costs or the cash costs for each thing. As you can see, the mystical itself is worth $300, the sidekicks are worth $500, and then the throwable is $300, and then the heavy weapon is $450. Now, the only thing is the mystical is a savior, so who knows if that's not as worthy as, say, the Jin or the El Dorado power-up may be a lot more in cost. Time will tell how Naughty Dog will handle these. Again, the throwables are handled by a recharge meter or a cooldown meter. So does this instantly give you a mine? Does this instantly give you another mine? Like 2 mines? Time will tell, but I am enjoying that it's attached to a wheel option versus a kind of sort of like a menu like The Last of Us has in the backpack. Moving on. And again, all in all, I'm just happy with the evolution that the Naughty Dog team is taking with this multiplayer. Now let's take a look at the leaderboard or the scoreboard. I don't speak French, but I can kind of break it down in the sense that the first column is going to be the cash. The second column is downs and KOs combined. And then there's revives, assists, which I'm happy that they're counting because that always bothers me in The Last of Us, and deaths. So that is the scoreboard in the nutshell that we have here. Now, something you guys have all been waiting for, loadouts and weapons. Let's take a look at the assault class. It has an AK-47, Para-45, nades, Hunter Sidekick, El Dorado Mystical, and nade launcher or the China Lake grenade launcher. Now, guys, there's going to be a lot of craziness with this. Who knows if this is just going to be something like they did with The Last of Us where you had default classes. Most likely, I'm assuming that you could customize these things. Now, absolutely, this will be the way that Naughty Dog keeps things balanced. As you can see that in the in-game store menu, remember each thing had a different cost. So I'm presuming, I am assuming that each perk, or who knows if there's perks at this point, there's no perks of Monkey Man or any indication of things of that sort yet. However, looking at this loadout screens, it looks like the loadouts are set on the weapons, the supers, and the sidekicks, and the throwables. Let's go ahead and check another thing that we have here, which is going to be the tactical loadout. All right, guys, the tactical loadout has the XCR rifle, the Raffica pistol, which is kind of like a burst, C4 throwable, a sniper sidekick, the Jin Mystical, and a Condor rifle. Looks like a heavy machine gun type of deal. See, this is what I'm talking about. There is a variety of balance. Remember, in the Savior, and the little thing costs $300. Who knows how much the Jin costs? Unfortunately, we weren't able to see that wheel. And the sniper itself, it could be more, it could be less. But this is the balance you can see so far that we're seeing, is that there's definitely going to be a heavy weapon, there's definitely going to be a slot for supers, and there's definitely going to be a slot for sidekicks. So you can't carry 2 sidekicks at a time. However, you could just easily switch between rounds another type of loadout. All right, let's check out another loadout, which of course we have 2 more left here to go. The other loadout is the assistance, or the support loadout. Now this loadout features the FAL. Ooh, my bread and butter in the Uncharted. That FAL was so awesome to use. 9mm revivable throwable, or the revive throwable or revive pack, Savior sidekick, and the Chintamani stone and the Chintamani stone mystical. But notice this big thing right here. There's no heavy weapon. I'm not sure if that was just left out, or that's just something that the person couldn't carry because all the points were used up. Who knows? Hopefully there is a loadout point limit. Now, see, it's totally support, as you can see, heavy on the medics, heavy on the magical Chintamani stone, which again, we haven't seen in action. If you saw my previous video, I said that was the Chintamani stone. I was later corrected, which you'll see, and the news wrap up, you will see that that was corrected, and that was a triple revive pack clutch play. All right, here's the next loadout, which is long distance. The sniper class. It has an M24 and a shorty-like weapon. If you remember in the footage a little bit previously, they only had 2 shots with this bad boy, and it's like a double barrel, just like the shorty in The Last of Us. A mine, a medic sidekick, and the Chintamani stone mystical, and the 44 Magnum, which is the big gun that Sully used to carry. It's not 100% sure, but 44 Magnum's the same kind of thing. Anyway, I digress. Bottom line, I'm excited that we're going to have some loadout opportunities, mix things up. I'm sure this is the way that Naughty Dog is going to balance things. So for all you guys are worried about, all these supers being overpowered, again, the biggest thing is you have to make in-store purchases or in-game purchases of what you're going to do. So there is going to be a lot of strategy involved. Again, the El Dorado curse is described in the IGN article by Daniel. He used it as a way to get out a lot of campers. All right, that's a lot to cover, and I hope, comment down below, tell me which loadout you're excited for. Let's go to more action. So a couple of interesting things as we see our guy go through some of the loadouts here, and he selects one. There's some things that I find interesting that Naughty Dog likes to do with The Last of Us, and that is the target reticle bloom. As you can see, when the person is running, the bloom is so huge, and that little dot in the center is where the bullets are going to go. And every time this person aims in, the target reticle is smaller, and the bullets, the little dots, is that where it goes. As you saw, a little thing that popped up was there is some medals. I'm not quite sure there's metal kickbacks. God hope there's not. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and show you again this sequence right here. He is spraying and running. He's running and spraying at the same time. Look how big the target reticle is, and the hit markers are so wide in that box. Hopefully this is Naughty Dog's answer to that crazy running and spraying that was a plague in Uncharted 3, and then show you how inaccurate you can be. Let's go ahead and take a more action into the differences between the bloom in cover and in the bloom outside of cover while walking. The bloom is big, but as soon as you get behind cover, it goes a little bit smaller. So I'm assuming while you're blind firing over it, it still goes in that little smaller area. And of course, the best way to do it is while you're aiming down sights. As you can see there, it's about a medium size compared to the running. As soon as he goes over the cover and shoots in, look how small that area is and how tight where those bullets go. That's all I wanted to point out from this IGN. Let's go ahead and move on to some action called the news wrap-up, where I get all the articles and tweets and all the things like that from developers and put them in one concise place for your enjoyment. Let's do this. All right, we got a couple of stories from 2 different websites. The first one comes from Video Game 24/7. It has a lot of mini stories, so let's start with the first one. Uncharted 4 multiplayer will run at 60 frames per second at 900p. And here's the revealed trailer, and this comes from Stephanie Nunley, and she goes ahead and writes, quote, According to the developer, Naughty Dog, the game's multiplayer will run at 60 frames per second and display at 900p, compared to the single player, which was previously reported to run at 30 frames per second and displays at 1080p. Now, guys, when I did my stream with Naughty Dog at the Uncharted 4 reveal trailer on their Twitch channel, they wanted to shoot for 60 frames per second, which is great to hear that they're actually going to go for it and actually going to get it. I watched a video from Digital Foundry where it said that the frames dropped below 50 frames per second at some points. However, this is pretty much an alpha build, and I can assure you that as it gets closer to launch, Naughty Dog will optimize that. So it's going to be at 60 frames per second. The 900p doesn't bother me because your eye can't tell the difference, okay? All right, here's another story. Uncharted 4's multiplayer will have no dedicated servers, and it comes from Patrick Garant. And this is kind of like, I'm a little bummed by this. Let's go ahead and read what Patrick writes. Quote, lead multiplayer designer Robert Congbert said, we'll still have a host-to-host. It's still peer-to-peer. So there's not going to be any servers. Matches, he confirmed, will remain as 5 versus 5, allowing for a maximum of 10 players simultaneously. Now, it's just a bummer, guys. A lot of us love this game, and the thing is about peer-to-peer is we all know this game is worldwide, and a lot of people from overseas play this, and a lot of their networks are not as stable as ours over here or in different parts of the world. It's just the connection, the distance, and it's just going to be a crazy mess. Hopefully, their matchmaking process is good. All right, another article is Uncharted 4's multiplayer shooting for 8 maps, no remakes. And again, this is another article from Patrick Garant. Quote, Uncharted 4's multiplayer is to include 8 brand new maps, Naughty Dog Robert Carberg says. Also confirmed that none of the new levels will be rehashes from previous games. And that's very interesting to say that none of the new levels are going to, of course, they're going to be 8. Who knows if they're going to be 8 at launch. There's a little bit more in that article about this. 8's a great number considering the size that we've seen so far. Let's go ahead and read a little bit more into the article. Quote, they're going to be new maps, Robert says. When asked if they're going to be new, he answered, yeah. He said the team was shooting for 8 maps. When asked how many will be included, he didn't expand to whether or not the 8 will be available at launch or added over time. So we don't know. At launch, we're going to get 8, and we're going to get more eventually. Hopefully, we get all 8. We do not like to see DLC announcements already out the gate. I like to see plans for DLC, but not a day 1 DLC. Naughty Dog plans to add vehicles to Uncharted 4's multiplayer over time. Patrick's on fire with these articles at the Paris Games Week. Vehicles, very interesting. Let's go ahead and see what this article has to say about that. All right, Patrick, what do you have for us now? And Patrick writes, quote, again, an interview with Robert Cogburn. He must have been a beast. Robert is doing multiple interviews with different outlets. He said, quote, Paris last night that Naughty Dog plans to include vehicles in Shooter's online portion over time, but they won't make it for launch. Quote, I can tell you that for the ship, we will not have vehicles, but it's something we're hoping to tackle in the future, end quote. Vehicles. I don't think it's going to be the Jeep, even though Uncharted single player is really heavy on that Jeep. I'm assuming it's going to be more like ATVs, motorcycles, dirt bikes, things of that sort that we saw in the Sam Drake's portion of the extended cut of the Uncharted E3 trailer. Who's to say, but I'm glad that that's in the fold in that. Now, guys, this next upcoming story comes from GameSpot, and it's a huge story. All right, GameSpot writes, Uncharted 4's multiplayer to include microtransactions from the outset, but all gameplay items can be earned with in-game currency, multiplayer to rendered at 900p 60, and Naughty Dog suggests Uncharted 4 will be the end for the studio, for it to be studio's last again. So, this comes from Robert Crossley. Let's take a look. Quote, the multiplayer portion of Uncharted 4's The Thief's End will incorporate microtransactions from the outset, according to game's lead designer, multiplayer designer Robert Conberg. And he goes on to say as well, players will be able to purchase various weapons, tools, and upgrades, but the studio has made it clear that every item can be earned through in-game currency. Microtransactions will be available at launch, this is Robert talking, but we'll have no gameplay items that will be gated through microtransactions, end quote. Cogburn added that striking the right balance between grinding for items and incentivizing real money acquisitions will be determined after Naughty Dog looks at the data from the Uncharted 4 multiplayer beta. So that beta is going to be huge, guys. And we all know that microtransactions is a dirty word in the business. We don't like it as gamers, and I'm sure the developers try to dance around as much as possible. The good news is it's not going to affect any kind of gameplay items, which I'm assuming is weapons and heavy weapons and the mysticals and the psychics, things like that. but I'm hoping they're just going to be cosmetic things like dances and taunts and things like that. Not tater tots. I'm hungry. And taunts and things like that. It's just, we all don't like this word microtransactions, and especially day one microtransactions. And it's like, reminds me of the Mortal Kombat 10X, the Crypt, how you can purchase a $20 thing to unlock everything, or you could grind it out the traditional way how Mortal Kombat designed it. And that's just a shame. I really, I understand that Naughty Dog wants to appeal to the casual gamer in this instance, and I believe that microtransactions do that for people that do not have time to, oh, I really want this hat. But, I mean, this is kind of a bummer, and this does concern me, guys. And at the end of the article, it does say about co-op, quote, elsewhere in the interview, Congbert has asked about co-op, to which he replied, we'll be talking about co-op later, end quote. Ooh, I love some co-op, and co-op, hopefully it's going to be some awesome action, and I can't wait to try it out, considering there's going to be a much more advanced AI, especially teammate AI. All right, here is some Twitter roundup stuff from around the Twitter universe, and thank you guys for so much for your response to my other breakdown video. Quentin Cobb had some clarifications from that video. He said the character in 332, 3 minutes and 32 seconds, is actually a villain soldier named Not. And so essentially it's not a custom character that you saw there, and instead it's a new villain skin. But no doubt in my mind, I want to put money down. My gut tells me that the customization will be very, very vast, and it will be including hair and patches. He didn't tell me no about that. He just said that was not a custom player. That was not. And he actually said the effect at the 8-minute mark is actually the revive pack, reviving 3 players. So that was not the Chintamani Stone. That was just a clutch 3-player revive with the pack. Interesting, was different color. Interesting. And alongside in that Twitter feed, he also write that the Labarovich, try to say that 10 times fast, voiceover is playing at the 1330, where he says, "You're a disgrace." It's a systematic dialogue that will all characters play when reviving a teammate. And there's a ton of VO in the multiplayer. He also clarified that it's not like rehashed dialogue, it's actually recorded dialogue. So I'm looking forward to that. Now here's a cool picture that I found from Uncharted France, at Uncharted France. And that is, yes, Nathan Drake and Sam Drake. That is Nolan North and Troy Baker watching some multiplayer action on the Paris Games Week show floor. Amazing. That is so cool that Robert is I'm assuming that's Robert right there because he was tagged. I couldn't tell he's facing away from the camera. Is breaking down some action from multiplayer online, or that could be some guy just breaking down. Regardless, I am so hyped for this photo. Quick story about Troy Baker. I met him twice in my life. Troy Baker is an amazing dude. He's so nice. He remembered me each time. Once it was in Vegas at 4 in the morning, but I won't go into that story right now. But that's gonna wrap up this Twitter wrap up, and it's gonna wrap up this entire video. Awesome, guys. Thank you. We covered a lot today. Thank you again for your time. I'm going to say that 1,000 times when you're here on my channel because I value your time and I really do appreciate it. So don't forget, comment down below. Let me know, how do you feel about the microtransactions? Also, what was your weapon of choice in Uncharted 2 and 3? And how do you feel about the weapons and loadouts that you see? There's a lot of things to talk about down below in the comments. And maybe start making a list of things you would like to see in the Uncharted multiplayer. Again, the beta's in December, from December 4th to the 13th. Thank you again. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, tell your friends, and share it, because that's what's going to help this channel grow and give me some more reach out there for you guys, because I want to continue making a strong community, and to be a part of it, that's the most important thing for me. And I always said that we're on the verge of greatness together as a community. All right, here is let me do this right. Here is the previous breakdown that I did, and why don't we just go ahead, and again, you go ahead and check out some Last of Us action, because that's where my main base is from, and that's what I do best. And it's a little silly video called the Decathlon, where we hold 10 events to determine who's the best Last of Us player in the world among friends. Enjoy, guys, and there's a guy named Kurt Dawkins. He's pretty cool. All right, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Adios!
Sancho!